Shalom. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halayim La, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Bracha HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopefully elect. So, Brother Isaiah with the Pittsburgh GMS camp, coming to you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Bracha HaKodash, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I want to play this clip and kind of go into it scripturally. We filter things through the spirit. I don't know how to rewind this. But just hit play.
Screaming. There's more, but I'm actively losing my train of thought. My name is Bobby. I like to party. If you don't believe me, watch me shake my body. Bobby! Sorry. Now, if you're wondering the kinds of tics that I have all of the above. I have a severe case of Tourette syndrome, so this would include both mild and complex tics, but mostly complex. I would also like to know, go to Tama. What? Corey Kenshin. Coprolalia and copropraxia are rare. Only 10 to 15% of people with tics and Tourette's actually have those kinds of tics. My name is Shay. I have Tourette syndrome, and let's talk about the different kinds of tics. Despite popular speculation, Corey Kenshin, a lot of people tend to think that most tics are very severe and involve cursing. This is false. Tics rarely involve cursing. So let's get into mild tics. I'm not serving you coffee. Mild tics are what typically people with tics and Tourette's usually have. Simple mild tics that are motor can often include...
Looks like she got spirits on her.
Motor. See, it's hooked up to the tobinator. The tobinator is hooked up to the motor. The motor is hooked... I've never ever had that take a day in my life, so I really don't know what that was. But blinking, twitching, it can be like slight twitching of like the head, the nose, slight facial movements, head bobbing, or other movements that are, my name is Bobby. I like to party.
It just seems like a spirit's taking over her.
Simple movements. Simple vocal tics. Nah, it's just me, nigga. Nah.
Especially that part right there.
Can, sorry. These can include of whistling, slight hiccup noises, clicking, clearing their throat, etc. Okay. Yep. I had to fight to be able to, pause this video.
Yeah, so I'm not going to play any more of it, but, I just was watching this video and I just couldn't help but thinking how, we understand that ailments are tied to spirits, okay? And, I thought about this particular situation here where Yahweh Shai was approached by an individual's father. And I'll just read it. Matthew 17:15 says, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed, for oft times he falleth into the fire and off into the water, okay? And which indicates he didn't have a control over his own motor functions. All right, so I went into this a little bit, this word lunatic, okay? So here's the etymology of the word lunatic from the late 13th century, affected with periodic insanity, dependent on the changes of the moon. Now, I'm gonna get through the spirit. I'm gonna get the blue letter, Matthew 17 and 15. Let's get that. All right, because we have people that deal with these things, and we have what do I want to say? I don't know what to call it. We got people that study this shit. Okay, go to school for this. Okay.
Strong's G 4583, seleniadzamai.
Seleniadzama, okay? It says to be moonstruck or lunatic. It says to be epileptic. It says epilepsy being supposed to return and increase with the increase of the moon. The meaning is doubtful as the Greeks knew nothing of epilepsy. Right, so to say epileptic is not exactly right, but we're going to roll with it, okay? We're going to roll with that. But as you see here, from the old French lunatique, meaning insane, or directly from late lunaticus, moonstruck. Now, we talk about lunatics and the moon and you know, everything like that. They talk about a full moon. Now, let me reopen that closed tab. Now, this says, let's get what epilepsy is, because if you Google it, and I'll show you what I Googled. Now, if we look at things spiritually, let's read this, and then we'll go into the spiritual aspect. Epilepsy is a chronic neurological disorder characterized by recurrent, unprovoked seizures caused by abnormal electrical activity in the brain. Now, she said in that video, okay, that Tourette's is basically uncontrollable things, that happens from time to time, and, electrical signals get all mixed up. Now, this seems to be the same thing, okay? Range from staring spells, temporary confusion, to convulsions. Now, this might be a little more frequent, or not frequent. This may be a little more severe and happens differently. But let's go into this, right? So I asked this question. Is Tourette's a form of epilepsy? Now, the AI says, no, Tourette syndrome is not a form of epilepsy. While both are neurological disorders, they are distinct conditions with different causes and symptoms. Tourette's is defined by involuntary motor and vocal tics, whereas epilepsy is characterized by recurrent, unprovoked seizures, which, when you seize up, you lose control of your body. It's as though they can sometimes mimic each other. Okay? And then blah, blah, blah. You go into the science, and it says here that it's more often that Tourette syndrome occurs with epilepsy. Okay? And it says patients with Tourette's have a higher than expected rate of epilepsy and are also sometimes misdiagnosed with seizures. Right? Because when you look at what she was going through, it looked like she was losing control of her body. And, I just want to kind of speak on this briefly. When we look at stuff like she was dealing with where she couldn't move, but she couldn't control her hands, she said when she came back that she had to fight to pause the video. And we understand that, biblically, let's go back into it. Right? He said he is a lunatic and sore vexed, for oft times he falleth into the fire and oft into the water. Right? He couldn't control his body. Okay. Verse 18, it says, and Yahushua rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. So we understand that these different things are spirits. Okay. When somebody is made dumb, all right, then the Lord have taken away their voice. The word dumb means not being able to speak biblically. Okay. So we just got to remember, that these different illnesses are spirits that are attached to these things. And when we see someone that has severe autism, we see someone that has these different things happening to them, it's because they're vexed with a spirit. Okay? They're vexed with a spirit, a debilitating spirit. And we as spiritual people, have to first and foremost lead with spirituality. Okay, you have a lot of people that lead with science and medicine, so to speak, but in actuality, these things are tied to they can be explained by spiritual happenings and by spiritual experiences. So if you are a believer and you have a loved one that's dealing with these type of things, you got to remember that, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is the judge, okay? And that he have sent these different things to plague them due to things that may not be known to you. We don't know what they did in their previous life to deserve to live a life under such things. We don't know if it's for a testimony later to be healed, because healing will come, all right? As the scriptures say, the disciples going to do even greater works than he did. Okay. And we're coming into those times. And also too, as we get closer, we're going to see more spiritual activity. Okay. As we get closer to the deliverance from this place. All right. And amen. People are going to be plagued. As we remember, there are spirits of vengeance. Okay. People losing their minds and going on unaliving sprees. That's going to be a spiritual happening, so to speak. All right. So we must remember when we deal with these things, what we're dealing with. So I just want to go into that briefly. Obviously, there's other things that we need to go into, prophecy and things of that nature. But I just Spirit was like, hey, do a lesson on this, so I did it. Or when someone was edified by this. All right, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstones, and the bishops that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopefully elect. Hey, Shalom, Wa Baba Ball, Shalom.